All right. We only have a couple of people in the room today, sorry. We've got a couple of people on the call. Jeez, Zoom's not getting that message out of the way.
Thank you.
There it is. All right. So, good morning. Let's get started. Seems like we have a delay in people coming from breakfast, but we don't want to keep everybody else delayed either. So let's get going. We're going to talk about regional employer hubs today, it seems like there's a few people online as well as in person. Looking forward to the conversation, and my guest speaker, which I'll introduce in a second. We will use some polling software today. Well, we might just keep it simple rather than using polling software. So we can just get stuff in the chat and speak up rather than complicating things. So we'll keep it simple. If you can check in, if you can check in, and if the session says 9 a.m. on Sunday, just put your name and select 9 a.m. on Sunday instead. It should say 8 a.m. today, but if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Just if you can just provide your information, that'd be great. Okay. So if you could travel anywhere, where would you travel? Those online can still use the polling software, but those in the room, where would you travel if you wanted to? I would go probably to Australia myself. Ah, yeah, very nice. Margaret?
Japan.
Japan as well. Okay. Where is Santorini? Santorini.
It's Italy. Italy.
Italy.
But it's its own place. But it's just...
Never been. So obviously the polling software is working. So I'll just do quick introductions. I'm Jonathan Carroll, CEO and founder of JobSpeaker. Looking forward to the conversation today. Margaret?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Margaret Lau. I'm the Dean of Academic Affairs at Allen Hancock College, and the areas of my specific oversight include the Health Sciences Department, Industrial Technology Department. I handle apprenticeships, and for purposes of this conference, I am the Regional Dean appointee from Allen Hancock Colleges to our South Central Coast Regional Consortium, and handle Perkins 5, Strong Workforce Funds, and another categorical fund through the Chancellor's Office for our AD and nursing program.
Awesome. Thank you, Margaret. And Margaret stepped in at the last minute, so really appreciate it for somebody else who couldn't make it today. So again, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Today, what we'll talk about is a little bit about outcomes first. Just on the outcome side, which is, and I'll bring it back to employer work hubs, so don't worry, I will bring it back there. But the reason we're talking about outcomes, just get rid of this. The reason we're talking about outcomes is employer engagement is part of outcomes. You can't get outcomes unless you have employer engagement, and it doesn't happen by itself. But it's all part of a comprehensive approach that really needs to involve the college, the student, and the employer. and and the reason is especially important now, which I'll get into in a second. But let me just explain a little bit of background first. Why we are here and why we think this is a very busy slide. So I'll try and step through it for a second. This path that you're seeing going through the slide, that's what we call the happy path, right? You go from K through 8, K through 12, from grammar into high school, into college, get a certificate, diploma, degree, AS, etc. And you go into work and you work for the rest of your life in a great employer and everybody's happy. We all know that doesn't happen, right? For most people today, especially now, for our students now they're going to have 30, 40 different careers in their lifetime. And the number that's thrown about now is 20, but it seems to be growing every couple of years. So on average, 20 different careers, and that's not jobs, that's careers in your lifetime. So what that means is you're going to have to change your approach and adapt to the labor market, just as essentially millions of people have had to do over the last year or so, as the pandemic changed the outcome for their careers. Right, so it's a changed landscape, and in that changed landscape, the jobs that people are in are going to change. The jobs that a lot of the U.S. workforce are in today will no longer exist in the next 2 decades. Right, so if you look at the top of this chart, most of these jobs will be going away and be more automated, certainly more automated than they are today. And that this is an ongoing trend. This hasn't changed in decades, but it's well, as you can see from this chart, it is continuing to accelerate. The amount and the pace of change is continuing to accelerate, and fueled by technology, AI, machine learning, etc. What does that mean for our students, our employees? It means that they constantly need to skill, upskill, reskill, whether they're working today or not. Does anybody know how to get rid of this thing at the top?
You can drag it down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Huh? You can drag it down to the bottom. Drag it.
You don't want to. No.
What do we do?
You grab anywhere in the black.
Okay. Look at that. Okay.
And then just drag it down wherever you want to go down.
Yeah, just drag it down.
That's for this, you can do it. Oh,
Thank you.
sorry, I advanced your slide up.
Yeah. Employee and 50% of all employees today will need to be reskilled by 2025. And that has essentially employees today and our students today are looking at an ever-changing labor market, ever-changing skills that they need to have. So it's not just incumbent on educators to be engaged in a conversation with students on what skills they need to have now, but it's also incumbent on colleges and educators to have an ongoing conversation with employers to understand how that conversation is going to change and how the skills that they need are going to change over time. Most of you have probably heard, I think this is a session I've specifically focused on this now, about the Great Resignation, and that over the last 6 months there's been over 1 million, up to 4 million people that have quit their jobs in the last 6 months on a monthly basis, right? So there's a lot of people dissatisfied with their existing job and they're looking to do something different, hence the focus on reskilling, right? And what are employers saying? Employers are saying that they need different types of skills now than they did before. A lot of employers are saying that they can teach the hard skills versus the soft skills. They need more of the soft skills so people can adapt and be more resilient. I'm sure you all have a growth mindset and come into a role being more flexible than they used to have to be, right? So things have changed, and from our perspective, skills are at the center of that conversation, and skills become part of the solution in terms of being built into your education to show employers what skills are being earned within the coursework and expose that level of skills to employers so they can see how well prepared your students are for their jobs and their employment. We help with working with Margaret and the region in the South Central Coast and across the state. We help expose those skills so that level of engagement with your employers increases so that they can see how well your students are prepared for their jobs, their opportunities, and enabling your employers to search and find employees that will engage in that, that have the skills that they're looking for, essentially. We expose them this way so that employers can find them, and expose the coursework and the skills earned in the coursework so that so that your employers can find them easily. With the goal being of creating this, essentially this collective within the college, this comprehensive kind of collaboration within the college, but then by extension across the region. And that's what we'll get into now. So quick questions here. What problems do employers have engaging with you today? Like what are the things that they struggle with? I'll kick this off. The one that I hear a lot is we don't know how to connect. Communication. So yeah, related to communication. So there's some people online submitting some questions. So communication is definitely one. What else? Sorry? Who to contact? Point of contact?
Yeah, because there's so many, they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
Or who to talk to.
Yeah, too many, right? So another related to that, the reason I say like where to start in terms of the conversation, if an employer wants to hire a variety of different employees and they're looking for maybe apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, full-time employees, and people with experience, they would have to talk to workforce boards, high schools, colleges, and if we're talking in Margaret's region in the South Central Coast, 8 colleges, I mean, probably 40, 50 high schools, several other workforce boards across the whole region, right? So how can an employer be expected to manage all of that? So we have to make it easy for them, right? And yeah, so I'll now hand it off to Margaret to describe what it is that they're doing at Allen Hancock and then by extension in the region.
Well,
Thank you,
sure,
Margaret.
if you can control the
Yeah,
PowerPoint, I'd be happy. I am so pleased and delighted to be here with you all,
Margaret, if
both
you wanna
here
go
in the
over so that
room
the camera can catch
and virtually in Zoom land. Welcome. So Allen Hancock College is a federally recognized Hispanic serving institution. We have an undergraduate enrollment of about 11,000. It's probably dipped a couple thousand because of COVID and the pandemic. Hundreds of local employers, but the main ones being Marion Regional Medical Center. County of Santa Barbara has many positions. Banks, and of course Vandenberg Space Force Base is with its very large presence in our northern Santa Barbara County. Our president has had a focus on changing the odds for our community. Our community has a lot of recognized low-income households. We want to join our president, and our whole campus community is behind him in making a commitment to change the odds of our students that we serve, our employers that we serve, and making our community and our region stronger in economic vitality and offering ways to expand our social and economic networks of our students' population. As part of that process, we needed to figure out how do we engage and create and enforce a college-going commitment, a college-going culture in our communities. We start with Bulldog Bound outreach with our elementary schools, probably down to 5th grade and up. Then it goes to the Path to Promise, right? It's during our high schools. How do we keep that engagement going, creating that commitment and the determination that college is for everyone throughout our lives? Because as Darla mentioned before, the need in this technology world to continue to upskill and reskill throughout your lifetime is a reality. It's not once and done anymore. Then continuing on with our engagement with our high schools, 9th grade and up, we have the Promise program. For those who are taking full time, it's free to come to Hancock College. And that is a commitment under the Hancock Promise program. And then beyond, the second year is the Extended Promise program, where we will continue to make that convenient for full-time students. We see the value of time, and we need to get and make a commitment that entering our college and getting through will lead to better paying jobs and incurring less college debt by the time you choose, if you so choose, to go on to college in 4 years. Basically it. So I put this slide up because this is in conformity across all of our California community college programs, beginning with the Chancellor's Office and their vision goals. And you'll see how they match up in terms of metrics that they're wanting to collect across all the different programs. So we have the funding, the student-centered funding formula that drives how our college system is funded through apportionment, right? And all the metrics tied to that and how they align with the vision for success. We also have the Strong Workforce Program, which and many of those of you attending this conference today know quite a bit about the Strong Workforce Program. Guided Pathways is also a part. The California Adult Education Program, which I'm also connected with at Allen Hancock College. And finally, a big one is the Student Equity and Achievement Program. All of us together in this whole world united again to supporting the vision for success of our California community colleges. And you'll see finally a recognition about how employment outcomes is a measure of success, student success. And that's how we align our strong workforce funding towards not only completers, but success beyond our college training programs. Next slide, please. So in recognition of our local and regional aspects of Strong Workforce Program, it was actually a faculty member that came to us and said, you know, at a conference, CCCOE, I heard about Job Speaker. And that's really a recognition about when your engineering programs know this, but one of the strongest and most efficient structures is based on a triangle. So I wish I had thought of this to put on the slide, but if we have on each of the points of a triangle, students at the very top, faculty and employers, those are what drive, I think, persistence, success, and ongoing engagement throughout the process of training and beyond.
Yeah, if I may, that's one of our kind of core slides when we talk to other clients. Because what we say is basically we're going into a world where students need to have more agency and more control of their own careers and need to be much more involved and empowered, right? Educators need to understand more what employers are thinking about, and that doesn't stop. Like it's not a once and done thing. Oh, we revised our curriculum 2 years ago, therefore we're good, right? 2 years ago, the world was very different than it is today, right? And then on the employer side, employers also need to engage and share information about what it is that they're looking for now versus 2 years ago or even 6 months ago. Right?
Absolutely. And of course, we've always had Perkins 5 funding for a long time. But with Strong Workforce Program, that has really changed and upped the game and support and recognition of the value of career technical education programs. And it's this ongoing focus. It's not just college or career. Our students engage and reap the benefits of both, which are instrumental in their success personally, with their families, and beyond, and our communities, right?
Yeah.
College and career. You can have both with the programs that we support.
Yeah, and you touched on an important point, right? Because if you change the life of a student, you're not just changing the life of that student, you're changing the life of that family and the community that surrounds that family, and basically lifting all boats, right? Helping lift all boats.
Absolutely. You've touched upon my why, and that is the power of lifelong learning to change individuals, families, communities, and by extension, the world, right? So I believe the South Central Coast Regional Consortium is probably we may be small, but we're very connected among their 8 community colleges and 6 districts in our region, ranging from Cuesta College in San Luis Obispo County down to the 3 colleges that make up the Ventura Community College District, and east to Antelope Valley College, and of course, College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita. So with Allen Hancock College there in Santa Barbara City College, so that's what makes up our region. So our region from very early on recognized the value of how do we drive outcomes that reap benefits for local colleges, but actually regionally because of the funding of the Strong Workforce Program, right? So our region chose to fund job developers as one of the regional projects very early on in the Strong Workforce Program inception. Then Allen Hancock College, faculty-driven process, vetted 3 different employer engagement platform companies. And we chose, after engaging with faculty, students, administrators, and our IT staff in vetting that, and we, through a very prescribed process, we chose to go on to Job Speaker, and we chose to put that out as a regional project for Allen Hancock College because the outcomes benefits the entire region. If we're successful in getting our students to connect with employers, engage, persist, graduate, and become employed, it's good for everybody. When we presented this, a lot of the other colleges were also similarly thinking about that. And by reaping the power of just the numbers that we're talking about, it represents a savings to get more colleges in our region behind. And that's what we reap the power of scaling, right? Or reach of Job Speaker. And Job Speaker now is embraced by 4 colleges in our region, possibly a 5th. And together we have made it a career connect powered by Job Speaker because of the many other features that Job Speaker brings, their ability to customize, because no college is exactly the same in the way it engages in a career center, and specifics driven, the IT components way beyond my level of expertise. But they have the people and connections to make things work. And so for Allen Hancock College, we've gone a little bit step further, and through our Career Center, and which is houses where the main job speaker support staff with our employers, with our students, and the faculty engagement with that. We're able to now reach down into our high schools, and we're beginning a pilot program that we have job speaker into 2 high schools in our district service area. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and Allen Hancock College has taken the lead in not just the region, but also locally, like I said, leading integration with the high schools, essentially helping the high schools with your Promise program, essentially helping align the high schools with your programs, and creating that link between high school pathways and the programs at Allen Hancock College.
John, the 2 things that I wanted to specifically mention before I forget, and in my part of their presentation, but what were the outcomes of this? Okay, on April 1st, just last week, we had our 16th annual Career Exploration Day at Allen Hancock College. It was our biggest and most successful event ever. And not just because everyone was so anxious to get back to in-person events such as this, and it was fabulous. We had over 145 exhibitors. So that's great, right? Over 90 of them were employers at exhibit booths with our faculty over programs that are most aligned with our guided pathways structure, and over about between 1,500 and 2,000, the exact number is, but it was incredible. 1,500 high school, 1,500 to 2,000 high school students that we brought to our campus. That's how we've always done, but they were so much more engaged with the number of our industry employer contacts. And guess what? They were connected through our Career Connect and our job speaker platform. Let's take that more to an extension regionally. By that engagement with our number of employers on our profile in job speaker across our region, we needed to, in support of our Perkins 5, everyone knows how important it is and critical that we get a updated, comprehensive local needs assessment. We took that regionally, and regionally through job speaker and other sources of information of employers, but largely through job speaker alone, we had 8,000 employer contacts with which to distribute an online survey to get employer input into the local or regional comprehensive needs assessment. So incredible outcomes of just our relationship with job people and our Career Connect. 8,000. 8,000 employees.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And these are solid connections to their employer profile. So thank you.
So just to explain a little bit more what the goal is. We talked a little bit earlier about the potentially, I guess frustration is a strong word, but I think it's true in some cases. Frustration of employers that are trying to reach out and trying to recruit and trying to find out how they can get in front of either people that are looking to get hired today, or even for some industries, they're just looking to educate future workers so they can get into the right pathway and start building their future workforce. Because what's the expression? If you can't see it, you can't be it, right? So if students don't see that there's opportunities in lots of different industries, which there are, but they don't see it, then they can never actually become it. And the employers want that opportunity to explain to students the opportunity and the pathway that they need to be on. Hence why Alan Hancock started using our pathway product as well in assessment at both the high school and the college level. And as you can see here, what our hub does is help bridge the gap essentially across your region by connecting employers with obviously the multiple colleges, but also multiple high schools and anybody else that wants to engage. So it's a single point of access for employers to post jobs to the hub, and then for those jobs to be fed to other colleges in the region. Maybe Carmel, you can talk a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, it's as you say, sorry, it's a single point of access. So when the employer goes in and posts a job, you have a choice of all colleges within the region, either post all of them or an individual depending. And then it goes through an approval process at each of the colleges.
Yeah, and that's ultimately it's still up to the colleges. The colleges still have choice.
Yeah.
And so do the employers, right? Ultimately, the employers, if the employer has a long-standing relationship with one college and that's where they've hired their graduates, they now have an option to expand that, but they also can still continue to build that relationship with their local college and the one that they've worked with most, right? So we're not supplanting any existing relationships, we're enhancing.
Yeah, there's still some mom and pop places out there who just want to post to the local college because it's just a part-time job and they have that option. So
yeah, what we find sometimes is faculty are a little push back a little bit on this because they don't want to they don't want other people trying to recruit trying to use their employers and other students to be aware of those employers. They want to kind of keep those relationships tight. But what we found is that employer, whoever they are not going to hire everybody in that class. So what about everybody else? How does everybody else get access to those opportunities, right? So out of the class of 20, 30, whatever it is, maybe that employer hires 5, fantastic. But what about the other 20, 25 people in that classroom? Where else can they get hired? So what we say to faculty members is the pros outweigh the cons. In terms of the pros and in terms of the number of employers. There is no college in your region that would have had 8,000 employers knocking on the door.
None
right?
of us
There's no
can
way.
do it alone. No college can do all career technical programs needed to support our entire region and fill supply gaps among our regional the whole sectors.
The labor pool,
Right,
yeah.
the whole labor needs. No one college can do it all. We have to collaborate and strengthen numbers and cooperation and collaboration.
Yeah. So students have access via their institution. They can apply for the jobs that are posted by employers across the region. And can see their progress through the coursework. As they complete coursework, they can see the skills that they're earning and how that aligns with the jobs that are now available across the region, right? With Alan Hancock and soon others within the region, we have the guided pathways and the labor market data built into the platform. So your students also see the types of jobs that are available both nationally and regionally. In terms of the average salary, again, the employers that are hiring locally, and all of the skills they need to build while at the college in order to be successful.
Charlie, can I also interject that
Yeah.
one of the probably a strong feature that was important not only to faculty, that faculty recognized very early on, and as the whole job speaker team and our guided pathways team and student success was that integration, seamless integration with LinkedIn Learning. And that was a very powerful combination that continues to reap incredible rewards and engagement with not only students, but with our faculty, and something that our employers also appreciate.
Yeah, and that just I'll note a little bit about that. So across the region, again, SCCRC took an approach to do this across the region. to integrate with LinkedIn Learning and provide LinkedIn Learning content across the region. I think originally it was led by Santa Barbara College, where they were using it a lot, but then LinkedIn Learning, yeah,
Mhm.
with specific pathways within LinkedIn Learning, but now it's generally available across the region.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it was that same concept of how do we reap the by the sheer numbers, right? We were all able to win by that more cost-effective approach of going as a region to access that platform.
So we on job speaker side, we integrated with LinkedIn such that any student can log into job speaker and have immediate access to that coursework via SSO, via single sign-on at that college. At the regional level, regional directors have access, particularly Paula in this case, have access, and they manage the data at the regional level. They also conduct surveys to understand what's coming up for employers, what are the biggest needs, etc., and kind of monitor the progress in terms of obviously number of employers, which has grown. I think we started with around 600 employers originally when we first started the portal.
It was a small amount,
Yeah. And it's grown as like sounds like 10-fold or more in the interim. So you can, so as a regional entity, you can see the reporting, the number of employers that are engaging across the region, and their success in terms of getting access to your students. And then for each college, you still have access to a local view, as Allen Hancock and the other colleges do, a local view into your students, your employers, and everything else that the job speaker platform provides. It's essentially a matrix, if you will, a linkage to across the other colleges in the region and up to the regional hub, right? So that's hence this picture here. If the employers have access to, let's say these are all the colleges and that's the hub, right? So it's kind of works like that, but it's all working together. Okay, and this is a quick view into the Career Connect, which is SCCRC's regional hub, and the data that we can expose at that level, where you're seeing all the colleges and the number of employers, number of jobs posted, etc. Anything else you want to share here, Carmel, about the type of data at the hub level?
No, it's evolving the data, as the needs of the regions. So we have a lot of additional work just to increase the needs of what they get required. So yeah, and that will continue to evolve, I think, as we go up.
Yeah, as you all know, the Chancellor's Office has ongoing needs and changes into the types of data that they want to see. So we continue to change and adapt to those needs. Over the last couple of years, there was a big push, and it's coming forward now too. Big push for work-based learning and apprenticeships, and growing that number. Maybe Yusuf, you could talk about the new things we're doing on the work-based learning side to ensure we can collect those numbers.
Sure, we have a work-based learning module, which you can manage all of your work-based learning experiences for your students. It's evolving as well, in the sense of being able to bring employers into the fold and make sure that everybody has the transparency, the insight needed in order to report out.
Yeah.
And that efficiency of reporting for those of us that are managing a strong workforce, that whole regional consortium, collaboration and coordination, part of employer workforce development funds is all about reporting metrics on employment outcomes and employer engagement. And that speaks directly to how we can meet those reporting metrics.
I have a
Yes, ma'am.
question. So does this do, and is there a component that connects to like pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeships, internships?
Yes, that's, when we say work-based learning, we're including all of those opportunities. Our system helps you manage any pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships, which we call more experience-based work-based learning versus the event-based work-based learning, which would be like site visits, industry panels as well. So we help you manage both sides, right? So the full embedded experience and the event-based experiences as well, event-based work-based learning.
So if I were to be an instructor and say, oh, okay, I have a biotech program, let's say, and I've got these students that would really benefit from, let's say, in pre-apprenticeship or internship, would job speakers then be able to, I just connect with you and you would be able to find that connection for our students?
Yeah, I mean, if there's employers, and particularly with that type of program, there's typically an engagement already with employers in that landscape that are providing those opportunities, but our platform allows the employers to present those opportunities to those students. Sometimes it's with the faculty's help because they already, like I said, already know the employers. And if there's employers already advertising those types of opportunities, then they're already on the platform. Yeah.
So from the perspective of justice, you don't actually, actively search for employers that would fit that criteria for the college.
Yeah, we don't go out into the marketplace and sort of engage with employers and saying we can do X, but we do pull in opportunities that are already advertised. Okay. And we can work with local entities that do that. There's several entities locally in the South Central Coast region and across the state that work to engage employers to bring them into the conversation. And then what we do is we help support the conversation once they're engaged. Okay.
And they're able to identify internship opportunities through this job speaker platform.
Any questions or comments? We're gonna, I think we begin to wrap it up here. So any other questions or comments? Any other questions in the chat, Neve?
No, we have no questions at the minute in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, just in terms of wrapping it up, so basically your students are on this journey. They need your help and support to ensure that they, the way we look at it, it's kind of like a hamster wheel, for lack of a better expression, right? So once they get into an education and start their career, they need to be aware of what other opportunities are coming to them, or how to adapt to a changing labor market, right? So there's a lot of people, particularly in the hospitality and restaurant industry over the last 2 years, that had to adapt and find new careers. I'm hoping there's not going to be another event like the last 2 years, but either way, the labor market's going to change. And what our system, working with educators, enables us to help inform the students that the labor market is going to change, helps you work with employers to understand their needs and their desires for new skills in the labor market, and helps maybe smooth the effects of a event like the pandemic or other events that will come in the future, like the recession in 2009, 2010, right? So help cushion the effects by them knowing themselves more, empowering themselves in the job market, and making it easier for them to adapt. As a platform, how we support that, we talked a little bit about guided pathways, labor market data, and program alignment and retraining. Essentially, what we do there is we help either your prospective students or existing students understand how your programs support them in their journey to get from where they are today to where they want to go in their career. Then when they're on the campus with you, we help you support them through case management and retention tools, through our work-based learning and tools to help manage work-based learning and help essentially build their confidence in that pathway so that they know that they can work with the folks within that pathway, within that industry. They have the skills that enable them to get jobs, and then show those skills through our skills transcript and the resume builder. Show those skills to waiting employers. And then last but not least, back to the tracking and the data side, help you collect the data through the regional hub in terms of how you're engaging with your employers across your region, and then also through employment tracking and tracking where your students end up.
And there's no expiration date. So even once our students leave, they will always have a profile that they could easily update as well and keep updated. And so for that purposes, it functions as a alumni or alumnus a way of monitoring and keeping in touch.
Yeah, your alumni relationships are going to be your future students, right? That's what we say is your students today are your employees tomorrow, your adjunct faculty the next day, and then your students again the day after that, right? So it's a revolving door, right? I think that's it for today. I think we're about on time. So thank you. Thanks to those online. And thank you for your attention. Thank you, Margaret, again for
My pleasure.
being
you.
here to support us and support the conversation today. Thank you all.